Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your 2015 September Tarotscope. September. I don't know why I said that so funny, but September Tarotscope. I just want to thank everyone who's been booking readings, everyone who's been subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. It really is amazing. And I've really been enjoying doing those readings for you, so thanks to everyone for that. And so this is for Scorpio for September 2015. Let's see what comes up for Scorpio. I'm going to shuffle these a couple more times. And for those of you who have been showing interest in this deck, this is the Greer deck, and I love the imagery in it. I love the vibrancy of this deck. And since a lot of you have been expressing interest in this deck, I'm going to put a link to it in the description so you can check it out. And let's see for Scorpio. Okay, that seems good. So Scorpio, September 2015. Okay, let me just check to see that all those cards are showing up. Looks like they are. All right, so let's see what's coming up for you, Scorpio. First part of the month, you have Nine of Wands. God, I can't even speak today. Nine of Rods or Nine of Wands, and then Two of Coins, Page of Swords, and then Six of Swords. So Nine of Wands tells me that you may be feeling a little bit cautious or wary of something. Nine of Rods defends his space. I call this my Cool Hand Luke card because he keeps getting knocked down and keeps getting back up. It reminds me of that scene where Cool Hand Luke keeps getting beat down and then gets back up. But so there's a way in which this is a card that symbolizes the survivor. So there may be a way in which at the beginning of the month you are identifying... Why am I not being able to speak? It's funny. You are identifying with being a survivor. So, you know, high side of the Nine of Wands is someone who's willing to defend their space, someone who keeps surviving regardless. You can't keep this person down for long. The low side of this card is feeling overly paranoid about things, feeling overly cautious, feeling like you always have to be on the defense. So that's Nine of Wands energy at the beginning of the month. Another thing that's coming up for you is Two of Coins. So Two of Coins is about, you can see it's a juggler, and he's juggling two coins. And what that can mean is joint finances, or a sharing of material possessions or material values. You know, you could be, it's interesting because you could be wary or nervous or concerned about sharing joint finances. Like if you're moving in with someone and you're concerned about whether they're going to be able to pay their portion or pay the utilities or their part of the rent, or you know, if you're entering into a contract with someone, which can sometimes be Two of Coins energy, you might be concerned about the fact that you have to defend your side of it, or that you're always going to have to be working to have them uphold their side of the bargain. That can be what these two cards mean together as a possibility. This card can also mean, the high side of this card is flexibility. So in the Rider-Waite, he's standing on one foot, and he's got these coins or balls in the air, and it shows how flexible he is and how many things he's able to juggle at once. So this is a juggling card. On the low side, it can mean feeling wobbly. Standing on one foot has sort of wobbly energy, and it can mean like, oh, I'm juggling from this side to that side. It feels, in the Rider-Waite also, the waves are going up and down. It can feel really sort of unstable and wobbling, like you're juggling a lot of things. And what I say in response to the juggler is that it can be either that you are trying to do too many things at once and you've got a lot of balls in the air and it's hard to juggle everything, or that you feel very confident and able to juggle many things at once, in which case it's sort of like being on display and showing how much you're able to handle all at once. Like, not only can I have all these balls in the air, but watch me do it on one foot. So that's the high side of Two of Coins energy. Somehow too, Scorpio, Two of Coins, because it's a 2, number 2 is about dialogue, about partnership, about communication. So sometimes I read Two of Coins as communication, and I'm seeing that for you here. I'm not sure why, but it looks like there may be some way in which there's a juggling of communication between someone who's in Survivor energy and someone who's in Page of Swords energy. And the reason I'm saying that is you can see in these cards that 9 of Wands and Page of Swords are directly opposed to one another. They're looking in opposite directions. Page of Swords is really about the mental element and having one's mind made up and being willing to defend one's ideals. And 9 of Wands energy is feeling on the defensive and feeling like you have to protect your territory. So when I'm seeing this Two of Coins in between the two of them, what it's really telling me is that you two may have different values. You may have some trouble communicating about your values. Things may be going back and forth. It may be like a real negotiation between you and this other person. Usually this is a fire sign because it's a Wands, and then this is an air sign because it's Swords. But if you are going through negotiations with someone who is either standing up for their ideals, defending their ideals, or if you're feeling like there's defense on both sides here. So that's one of the things that I'm seeing going on. Page of Swords is someone who is kind of like has an idea about something and is willing to stand on the top of the hill and like hold that idea up for everyone to see and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. It's a willingness to explore the mental element, and it's also a willingness to defend one's ideas. So I'm noticing a defense for values, negotiations. That's what I'm seeing there. And it may be that one of these people sets sail. It may be that one of these people takes off and leaves the situation because of this negotiation that's happening. This is a card of recovery. It's also a card of travel. So it could be that, and it's also a card of rescue. So in this card, there's a figure that is saving or ferrying a figure that is actually suffering down here. In the Rider-Waite, there's a woman and a child, but in this case, it could just be, yourself or another person. And this person comes to the rescue and takes them away from the stormy seas and takes them out to calmer seas, to more subtle, like stable horizons. So 6 of Swords is about recovery, stabilization, travel. It could just be escape or rescue. That's what 6 of Swords means. And so in light of this situation that's happening with a challenge to communication, I actually see you guys working it out if you stick with it, because the 2 of Coins is not in reverse. It's actually in its upright position. So this is just negotiation. This isn't necessarily conflict, but both people are kind of defending their own space or territory. This one's defending their ideals, and this one's defending their space or themselves. So it could be that you just have to see who you identify with in this card. Do you identify with the person being rescued? Do you identify with the person who's doing the rescuing? Or do you identify with both, in which case you are rescuing yourself from the situation and ferrying yourself off to calmer seas? So and it could be that the Page of Swords is the one who ends up leaving. Because this is Swords energy and Page of Swords is facing this, it could be that Page of Swords finally just, has it and they take off and they leave. Or they're involved in somehow this rescuing or taking someone else out of the situation. So that is the first part of the month for you, Scorpio. And then towards the middle of the month, you have Wheel of Fortune, Four of Coins, Empress, and then Five of Cups in reverse. So, Wheel of Fortune has to do with things changing. You can see that this hand, which is like the hand of fate, turns this wheel, and those who are on top, these kings and queens, end up going down to the bottom and falling off. And conversely, though, anyone who's at the bottom ends up coming to the top. So whatever's up will go down, whatever's down will come up. Basically, it's a change card, a tables or turning card. And it may be in relation to your stability or your finances. It's also in direct relation to this negotiation of values and perhaps contract or communication negotiation. There's something that it may have to do with changing of your stability. This card, Four of Coins, has to do with holding on to the status quo, holding on to your fixed assets, trying to maintain the status quo and hold on to everything that you have. It's a card of possessiveness, of control, of I just want to maintain everything. I want to keep everything that I have. It's kind of a miser card. So it's like I don't want to spend a single penny. I don't want to give up a single thing that I have. I just want to keep everything and keep everything just how it is. So, you know, he's got to hold on things, but this card right next to it tells me that there might be some changes occurring. It could be changes that occur that help you stabilize, like if in doing this contract, it helps stabilize you, but more than likely it's going to be that there's going to be some change in the status of the finances that you have and hold on to. This may be a good thing, because one of the things I point out in this card is that Four of Coins holds on to everything so tightly and is so rigid that he's blocking his heart. If things change, which Wheel of Fortune seems to say they will, in terms of holding on to everything and trying to like pinch pennies and be like King Midas, if you break that open, you may break open, you know, access to your heart, in which case you become Empress. An Empress, or you have access to Empress. Empress is prosperity, fullness, abundance. You know, everything grows around her. Everything is just sort of like at its peak of bloom. You know, there's fields of wheat that are ready for harvest here. There's flowers that are in bloom. She's just and you know, there's this waterfall in other decks I've seen. There's bunnies and animals. She's basic, and also she's a symbol of pregnancy or fertility. So everything's fertile, everything's rich, everything grows around here. So it could also be, another way that I'm seeing this is that you change your ways and start to pinch pennies, which is this, and then you become, your money starts to grow, or things start to grow around you. So that's another possibility. Whatever way you've handled things in the past, it's going to change. So those, and you'll have now access to Empress, whether it means letting go of what you've been holding on to, or whether it means that you now hold on to things and now you become Empress, or you have access to the Empress woman. She's also a card of satisfaction and sexual satisfaction and sensuality. She's got all that Venus energy, which is the equivalent of Aphrodite, so the goddess of sex and love. So there's a lot of great things about Empress. She's just basically everything is full and rich and abundant and prosperous. So that's a nice card to show up in the middle of your month, Scorpio. And you guys kind of have a lot of sensuality going for you. Scorpio is traditionally the house that rules sex, death, and taxes. So there's a lot of good stuff there for you, Scorpio. Interesting, too, that these two major arcana cards are surrounding this Four of Coins. So there's something definitely going on about how you manage finances, or how much you hold on to things, how much you hold on to money, or hold on to assets, to material possessions. That's going to change for you, and that could be a very good thing. Because Empress is there. There may be a way in which you have some grief or solemnity or despair over what has gone on, or like the way things have changed. This, I'm getting a sense, has to do with what happened in this first week, mainly because, as you can see, it lines up with these cards here. This is recovery for something. This is grief and despair and just mourning. And then this is a battlefield and picking up the pieces, you know, looking at what's happened after the battle and seeing what you can learn from it. So all of these in a row are telling me that there's some way in which, you know, you keep kind of reverting back to this, and there is some grieving that you're going to do over this, or there is some sadness that you might have. This is a figure who is looking at the 3 cups of spilled wine or spilled blood, and, you know, just sadness. And this can sometimes be sadness of someone who's passed away, sadness for friendship that's moved on, sadness for the way things used to be. But there's still hope here. You know, these are kind of larger in the foreground, interestingly, but the figure is facing the background. So it's only when the figure will turn around and receive these 2 cups that they show, you know, these are heart elements. They represent emotion and fulfillment of the heart, but he or she is focused on the spilling of the cups that have already spilled. So let's see, what else have you got going on, Scorpio? Towards the end of the month, you have a couple things happening. There is a certain amount of victim status. That's what 8 of Swords represents. So 8 of Swords is someone who is stuck. They feel victimized. They feel like complete powerlessness. And a lot of it has to do with the way they're thinking about things. The 8 swords around this woman represent her thoughts that are surrounding her. And as you can see, she's not actually enclosed by them. She can walk right out of the circle that is surrounding her. But because she believes that she's stuck, she actually thinks she's powerless to move. She could actually cut her binds and her blindfold off on one of these edges of the swords and just walk away. But it's her belief or her many thoughts of her being a victim, in victim status or in victim mentality or powerlessness, is why she just stays put. And so that keeps her very stuck there. But in reality, she actually has this red flowing cape. She's got all this vitality, this power. She's just not using it or not accessing it, not thinking that she has it. So that's towards the end of the month. And that may be in relation to a Queen of Wands figure. She actually is more than likely going to help you out of that. So this is going to be someone, this is usually represents a fire sign like a Leo, a Sag, or an Aries. And because she's a queen, she's a person in authority. So I don't know if this is a boss or a maternal figure or just a good friend, or could even be like a counselor, someone who provides good counsel. And she's going to just kind of give you a pep talk. She is sunny and radiant and confident, and she's quick to laugh. And she is just like, she's an attractive, bold, courageous figure. You know, you can see she holds a full sunflower in her hand, and rods represent fire. So she's the queen of fire. So she may give you like a little push of vitality, or, you know, have you connect to your own strength, because she's really connected to her own courageousness, her own boldness, her own fiery radiance and vitality. And she may help break you out of this, or help you to see that you're not actually in a victim place. So that's towards the end of the month. And then a couple other things that are going on, Scorpio, for the end of the month. This 3 of Coins here is collaborative projects. I also sometimes read this as creativity. This shows the artisan, the worker who's working, like the mason, who's working on a a church or a building, a foundation. And this card is usually a card of collaborative work, because in the Rider-Waite, this card shows both the worker, the architect, and the client who's actually going to be using the building. So this card favors well for group projects, for collaboration. Because it's a 3 number, I also see it as artisticness or artistry, as expression, anything that has to do with building something. This is the builder, card, also called an artist card. But because it's in its reverse position, you may not be accessing the highest level of group projects. It's telling me something with all these cards in here. It's saying that you may not want to participate in these group projects or social projects or group collaborations, because you're too much reflecting upon the battlefield and what has already happened. There's a way in which this line all talks about, your recovery, journeying away from something, grief, sorrow, being sad about something. And in some ways, this card is I call this picking up the pieces. And as you can see, it's a place of battle, a battlefield where a battle has happened or a crisis has happened, and the sun is setting on it. It's actually over, but someone's collecting the spoils from it. So someone's collecting what's left over. These swords are usually ideas or ideals, or what sort of new thoughts can I collect from, what can I learn from what has happened. But this is definitely a preoccupation with the past, as is this. So what I'm seeing is like something happens, someone goes off on a journey, but there's this connection to the revisiting the past, and that tells me you may not feel like joining in on group collaborative projects because you're too focused and preoccupied with this past event that has happened. So that may be happening for you at the end of the month. But just remember, Scorpio, that if you do experience any sort of victim mentality, look for someone who is, and maybe you already know who this person is, but look for someone who's either, an Aries, a Sag, or a Leo, or some sort of mentor, the confident, radiant, attractive woman, because she's going to help pull you out of that. She's got nothing but good to bless you with. I mean, she's in line with all of this money stuff. She may help you go from a negotiation or contract to help you gain the most money from it that you can. She may be an advisor for any negotiation of finances that you have. So that's my reading for you for September, Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, just want to thank everyone for all the readings that you've been booking, the subscribes, the likes, the shares, and I love responding to your comments, so please feel free to comment as well. Thanks, Scorpio.